Welcome in, everyone. TexAgs Rewind presented to you by Yeti. We're back in the mothership, back at the studio. Obviously, lost David somewhere along the way, so I'm filling in for him today. On the Rewind today, we had OB for just an SEC Media Day recap, kind of got his final thoughts, put a bow on everything. Had around Aggieland with Kay Naegeli. Recruiting Country with Ryan Brauninger. Couldn't get him this past Wednesday, so we got him in studio, kept y'all up to date with a little bit of Aggie recruiting, and of course, Billy Liucci in studio. Just talk a little bit about Aggie football. Here's the Rewind. What exactly was your favorite part of Media Days, if I can ask? If there was a favorite.
Well, again, I thought Sam Pittman was kind of funny. I thought, he stopped trying to be funny. He's just kind of just this
Goofy
down
dude,
home.
yeah.
No, he's not goofy. He's kind of just a down home country boy that knows how to coach football and gives straight answers and brought some common sense to Arkansas after that. They're the ridiculousness of Chad Morris and Brett Bielema, but for me, it still goes down to I thought it was really funny when Anaya Smith was asked about playing Texas by some guy that obviously doesn't know that he's a senior.
Yeah.
And then when he says, "Yeah, all I got to say is horns down."
Yeah.
I thought that was fun. I thought Jimbo was good, even though I still think he sent mixed messages on the Petrino issue, and that rubbed a lot of our TexAgers wrong way. And okay, that's fine. You could just come out and say, yes, Bobby Petrino's going to call the plays, end of story, and said, well, hopefully he will. Like, wait a minute, hopefully? Who decides that? So, but even that was a favorite part of me because it became the talking. It was the primary talking point. Texas A&M,
Absolutely, yeah.
for better or worse, was the subject of the primary talking point of the entire, Georgia. They had to talk about, driving too fast and all their issues with that. And gosh, I can't. I'm sure Saban had something interesting, even though right now I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything.
But the primary, good or bad, the primary talking point, the primary point of discussion for not just for Texas A&M, was for everybody, was Texas A&M.
So going back to that, do you think there's value in not being crystal clear in that? Do you think it's kind of keeping your cards close to your chest type of thing?
No, because here's why. When you go play, you're not going to be playing an SEC team for a month. It's the fourth week when you play. You think, these are the best coaches in college football. You think they're not going to figure things out?
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think so. Do you really need to do the okey doke to beat New Mexico? And really, you shouldn't need it to beat Miami, and you sure don't need it for ULM, right? So, but here's the way I take it, and I could be dead wrong, but this is my theory on because now Jimbo will then go on Feinbaum and say, "Oh yeah, it's absolutely." I think that Jimbo Fisher, in his heart, really believes this is going to be not just a good year, but a big year for Texas A&M. Really good year. Get excited about that, because I think he's looking at things, and I think he thought he was going to have a really good year last year, and then they had all the injury situation and all those things.
Moving on to some men's basketball news, Buzz Williams has announced a charity softball game in support of Buzz's Bunch, a program with the primary objective of helping children with special needs to come together socially, hopefully, and also falling in love with sports. So basically, you can get your first look of the 2023 Aggies, 2023-2024 Aggies at this charity softball game benefiting Buzz's Bunch. This is the first ever softball game that they will play. Will be hosted at Davis Diamond on August 4th at 6 p.m. Admission to the event is $5, so you could just walk in and go support Buzz and the crew over there. Buzz has always been great about doing stuff like that, so it's awesome to see. Also have some women's golf news. Jared Chadwell and his squad unveiled their 2023-2024 schedule that was announced yesterday. Just want to run through that schedule real quick. They will start off with the Carmel Cup in Pebble Beach, California. We'll head to the Annika Intercollegiate in Minnesota, the Stevens Cup in Dallas, East Lake Cup in Georgia, Puerto Rico Classic, that should be a good one in Puerto Rico, the Moon Golf Invitational, Icon Invitational, Mountain View Collegiate, Clemson Invitational, and then finally SEC Championships before they can maybe make some noise in the postseason. And then also some track and field news. They will have 4 representatives in the U20 North American, Central American, and Caribbean Athletics Association Championships that will be held on July 21st to the 23rd at San Jose National Stadium. We will have 4 Aggies there. That includes a trio of current students in Connor Schulman, Jermisha Arnold, and they will be representing the U.S., and then Heather Abadi will be representing Canada.
And look, this is the way that it's going to happen. It happens every recruiting cycle. It wouldn't surprise me if they lose a couple. I'm not thinking of anybody in specifically right now, but the way the recruiting ebbs and flows go, and doing this for so long, like you got 18 kids committed. Are you going to sign all 18 of those? The percentages say no. It's like somebody's going to back away, or maybe a couple back away. But you're also, with the end of the summer recruiting event coming up, which the pool party has been just such a huge hit for A&M since Jimbo's been here, you're also putting yourself in a position to start getting back into races that for guys that we haven't spoken a bunch about because it was, A&M was kind of gone and forgotten in those recruiting battles. And you're going to get a couple of them back on campus next week, or you're expecting to. I always preface these summer visits with, this is what we are expecting, because when it gets down to the day of or the night before, the kids may change their mind, and they could have been telling Oklahoma that they're going to be headed there for the last 2 weeks, and then the day of, they decide, I don't want to drive all the way to Norman. I'm going to go to College Station. I'm going to go to Austin, Baton Rouge, whatever. And the same works when you're talking about kids coming to A&M. So we are expecting a guy like Micah Hudson to show up. But I would think that he's getting pulled on every which direction to go to everybody's recruiting event that's holding one that weekend. But we're expecting Colin Simmons to show up. He's supposed to be at LSU the day before. You don't think the folks in Baton Rouge are going to try to keep him from coming to College Station on his way back to Dallas? So regardless of like those specific ones, we are anticipating a very impressive group of players heading to campus next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to Ryan Brauninger here on Recruiting Country on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner Jewelers. So I guess just kind of, if you don't mind, just talk a little bit more about that pool party and just what exactly does it look like, and maybe if there are some other names to expect or look out for. Just
yeah, I mean, we've been putting out some 5-star names. Ryan Wingo's a receiver out of St. Louis. Bobby Petrino coached his older brother at Arkansas, so there's some familiarity there. A&M has been, it's one of those kids I was saying, A&M's been kind of forgotten about in that race. Is this going to be the weekend where A&M makes a huge surge? And you say, well, it's a long shot, and it is. But what have we seen since Jimbo's been here, especially with that pool party? You go back to that 2022 class, Walter Nolan was never even being discussed at Texas A&M. He shows up for the pool party, and they sign him. Shamar Stewart was a kid that A&M was playing from way, way behind. Shows up to the pool party, and they sign him. So are there going to be those type of kids in this recruiting cycle that are heading to campus next week where A&M has got ground to make up and they ultimately sign them? There's precedent that there will be. Terry Bussey is a huge target out of East Texas and Timpson. Some services have him rated as a 5-star, number 1 athlete in the state. I think A&M's done a fantastic job there. They're going to get him back on campus.
Listen to that offensive staff. And I know, like, Steve Adazio's been a head coach at, 3 spots? Temple, BC, and Colorado State. He was an O-line coach for Urban Meyer on championship teams. James Coley was the OC at Miami and Georgia. Chaney, we just talked about his incredible resume. Petrino, we know about that resume. And Jimbo and his background offensively. That is, and it's not even talking about long, Damian Craig's been with him forever. And then at running back, he's really turned some heads. I'll be really fascinated to see what they do on the running back recruiting front, because the returns in terms of what they're getting at that position coaching wise coming out of the spring were like, wow, this dude's really good. So I'm going to be fascinated to see what this offensive staff can produce, because there's so much talent to work with. There's so much experience. You wish you'd have a little more experience at quarterback. Now they do with Max Johnson. Yeah. So, I mean, you have it on your roster. And look, it's not like Connor Wigman's devoid of it. He started 4 games, started 3 SEC games, you know, so that's big. But there's a ton to work with, and there's a ton of X's and O's offensive expertise and experience in that room. It's going to be fascinating to see what they can come up with and put on the field on Saturdays. And my bigger question, I believe in it. My bigger question is, how quickly will it take? Because you can't go out there. New Mexico's a son of a gun of a team to open with, because they just empty the kitchen sink at you, and they don't give a damn what they're going to give up in big plays. And they're just going to go for sacks and drive-killing TFLs and stunts and leave it. It's going to – I hate them as the opener.
All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, comment. Follow us on TexAgs Twitter, TexAgs Radio Twitter. We've been killing it here on YouTube, so y'all keep subscribing, and we'll keep y'all getting y'all good content. Thanks.